All right, now we're going to do continuation of law of cosines, but this time it's going to be side angle side. I'll get full screen here. There we go. Okay, so back to a similar experience in the last video, but this time we're going to do side angle side. I don't know how accurate my guesses are on lengths and angles. I'm trying my best here, but I'm not very good drawer of these kinds of triangles. But I thought we'd start with this one here, where we've got a couple of lengths that I said are the same. This one looks shorter. Maybe I'll make it shorter. Given a 62-degree angle, might be useful to work around 60 degrees because cosine of 60 degrees is a half. Easy number to work with, so maybe we can get some insight as to that length. Let's find out. It should be something around 4 or 5 too. I'm guessing it's very similar to that. So let's see. Question mark. So how do I get question mark? Well, again, we're over here with the law of cosines. You got a side length and you square it. You add the squares of the other two sides and you subtract twice the product of these letters and the cosine of the given angle. So in this case, we've been given an angle and we've been given B and C. And we could call this little c squared, and then this would be 2ab if I gave you a little c, so on and so forth. So there's a little pattern to this process. So I called this A, I called that B, and so I guess this is big C right here, that angle. All right, so let's just have at it. So little c is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine big C. So in this case, little c is equal to the square root of 5 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 times 5 times 4 times the cosine of 62 degrees. All right, I think we can get ourselves a good approximation here. This is approximately a half cosine of 62, right? With quick unit circle here, 62 degrees, right? So that's a half. Okay. So 25 and 16, 41. 41 minus 40 times a half. 41 minus 20, 21, square root of 21. Well, that's between 4 and 5. So bingo. Gives us a nice value there. Obviously, you got to go to a calculator to find out what the cosine of 62 degrees is. I'm going to guess 0.487. If I had to make a guess, that's what would be more or less. No, it'd be more. So that's the wrong way to go here. So maybe 0.509, something like that, right? Because 62 degrees takes me a little bit further up the arc length. And so therefore, it just got a little shorter than a half. I was right the first time. That's okay. Coming in off of the vacation here. I get my brain working again. All righty. So let's try this one here. Let's say we give 17-degree angle. We're trying to find the question mark. I'll call 8B, 9C, just so that we can find little a. So little a is the square root of b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine big A. Starts with little a, ends with big A. Everything else is the other letters. So I think that you can see that this is going to be memorized pretty quickly. So what have I got? I don't know A, but no reason to write that and then work with it. You might as well memorize the one line of work you need. If you got to memorize something, memorize the one you got to use. So in this case, we've got 8 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 8 times 9 times something that's going to give me fractions between 1 and -1. And cosine of 17 degrees, we can estimate 17 degrees, boom. Okay, what's the cosine? It looks like it's about 0.95. It looks like it's pretty big, but I honestly don't know. Cosine of 30 degrees is 0.87. It's not a linear process, but 0.87, so maybe 0.9. I have to go to a calculator. So A is equal to, as far as I'm concerned, you write that on a test, you're done. It's gonna be all done with calculator anyway. Right? So we may actually have a calculator test at some point, where you can bring in your computer as well and do all of this with a Google calculator. So you don't have to buy anything. All right, so that's another one down. I guess I say rapid fire 5, but I think we might just do 4. So I thought we'd actually do this one out by hand to find Z 120 degree angle. All right, so 120 degrees is there. I hope -1/2 popped into your head. So that's the arc cosine. That's what you'd get if you did the cosine of 180. You'd get that distance. All right, so where am I at here? So I'm trying to find Z. So Z is going to come from the square root of 6 squared. We're looking at this one here. So we're looking at 6 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 6 times 7 times the cosine of 120 degrees. That's the cosine of 120 degrees. And we can actually do this one out. So what do we got? We got 36 and 49 is 85, minus 1/2 times -2 is positive 1. So this simply becomes 6 times 7, 42. And so that gets me the square root of 43, which is between 6 and 7. Does it look like this number should be between 6 and 7? Not in the least. I don't like that at all. Did I do something wrong? Oh, yeah, I did. A minus times a minus is a plus. That's a lot different. Yeah, that's the beauty of actually looking and seeing if something makes sense, and that didn't make sense. So that's a negative times a negative is positive 42. So 127. And what's the closest thing we got? 121, square root of 121, 11. Does it look like this might be just a little bit bigger than 11? Yeah, that's very believable. So it seems to be working. Let's just do one more. I might still call it rapid fire 5. It's just because you're getting familiar with it. So we got a 6, an 8, and I'm saying that's 70 degrees, but that 70 degrees now, that looks more like it's, let's put it 50 degrees. 50 degree angle. And whatever. Don't really have a great feel for that. So we're looking for the, what have I got here? I'm looking for opposite. So this is the one that's opposite. So I need to find this if I'm making that angle. So let's call this 2 units. That might be 8. Let's see if that works. 50 degrees. Cosine of 50 degrees is a little less, a little more than 1/2. So maybe we can get a feel for it. So question mark. Question mark. I'm looking for a side length. Well, I hope that makes sense why it's a square root. All right, a square root is a distance, yes? And that's a length. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so right to the chase. I got a 2 squared, I got an 8 squared, I got a -2 times 2 times 8 times the cosine of 50 degrees. That's all you got to do for me. Write that, but let's just check it out for the heck of it. That's 4 and 64, 68, minus 32 times the cosine of 50 degrees. Well, the cosine of 45 is 0.71. So the cosine of 50, let's call it 0.73, 0.75. That's easier to work with. All right, 0.75, 3/4. 4 goes into 32 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. This is all approximation. I'm just trying to get a little approximation. 68, 48, 44. The square root of 44 is pretty close to the square root of 49. So we're in the 7 length. Does it seem like this might be 7 units? Absolutely. Sure, that actually looks pretty good. Again, gross approximations, but trying to get a feel for numbers is very important. Otherwise, the calculations might not really have any meaning for you. So it's good to play around with some numbers and just approximate. All right, so that's the end of this one. I think you hopefully got a head start on a quick memorization process by doing this. And we'll find out, because I'll be watching you work at the board, and I'll see who does them quickly and who doesn't. Tells me a lot.